Hello and welcome, everyone. We're going to get started here in just a moment, but while we're waiting, if you wouldn't mind, please enter in your name and organization into chat. We like to see who is on the call with us today. I know the slide says that we have a pre-presentation poll. We don't actually have that, so if you can just enter in your name and organization into chat, and we'll get started here in just a moment. I see some new names and faces coming in, so that's super exciting. Welcome, everyone. I think we'll go ahead and get started just because we're really excited and anxious. So if you can go to the next slide, please, Mariah. Welcome to our first session of Nursing Home Quality Essentials. We're really excited to kick off this new series. This will be replacing the bi-weekly series that you may all be used to of our Give Your Nursing Home a Boost and Ask an Expert. So we're really excited about some new topics that we're going to be sharing with you in the coming weeks. And so thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Courtney Ryan. I'm a Senior Quality Improvement Facilitator here on the team, and we'll be talking about infection preventionists and QAPI and where you fit in. So I think we'll just go ahead and dive in. Mariah, if you can go to the next slide. So for those of you not familiar with Telegen, these are the focus areas that we have been tasked with various performance metrics to improve upon as part of our quality improvement organization contract under CMS. So if there are any of these areas in particular that you're looking for some additional support on, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help. We'll have our contact information at the end of our session today, and we can also talk about it during the time that we've scheduled for Q&A and discussion. Next slide. We have just a couple slides to go through before we get to our topic today. This is just a quick reminder to please add QI Connect to your trusted list of emails. This is how we disseminate information and upcoming events. We're also on social media. We're on Facebook and LinkedIn, so please follow us for updates and exciting news there. Next slide. The next two slides are just highlight two super quick assessments that you can take, which allow us to better identify ways to support you within our focus areas. So this one is for Telegen's staff infection prevention and control training. It's 4 simple questions. You can see the link posted at the bottom of the slide here, and this just helps us kind of give a sense for how best to complement and support your training programs that you have. And then on the next slide is our emergency preparedness, which, as many of you know, is a really hot topic lately. I live here in Colorado, and this is a super hot topic for our nursing homes here. But this takes about 15 minutes or less to complete and will evaluate your readiness for an unexpected event. So really encourage you to take a few moments to do this. If there are any gaps that are identified within your program, we have subject matter experts on the Telegen team that can provide one-to-one support and training for you, along with just sharing general resources to close those identified gaps. And then the next slide, this is lastly, just you can scan this QR code on this slide with your phone to be a part of the Telegen QI Connect listserv. So this is where you can get notifications of the critical updates, from Telegen and CMS and CDC. You'll also receive information about upcoming events and trainings, and then have opportunities to engage in peer-to-peer sharing with other nursing home teams. All right, so we've been doing a lot of work with infection preventionists lately, and so I have been trying to find some fun facts to share and kind of pepper throughout some of our presentations and workshops that we've been doing. So this is the first one for you all today. So the question is, how many germs live on your cell phone? And so your response options are A, 25 times more than a dining room table, B, 10 times more bacteria than most toilet seats, C, about the same as a public kiosk station, or D, since most people practice hand hygiene, cell phones are generally pretty clean. So I'll give you all a few seconds here. And Heather, do you want to show the results? All right, so for those of you that answered B, you are correct. It's 10 times more bacteria than most toilet seats, which just is crazy to me. Also, so this came out of a study from the University of Arizona. And also in that same study, they found that fecal matter can be found on 1 out of every 6 smartphones. So sorry for the disgusting data there, but it's true. So anyway, just thought that was kind of a fun fact to kick us off. All right, next slide, Mariah. All right, so we wanted to start by showing a timeline to show you when basic infection prevention and control programs became a part of our regulatory requirements and just kind of how it's evolved over the years. So you can see that in November of 2016 is when this really all began for our healthcare settings and when basic infection prevention and control programs were implemented. Then in 2017 is when our infection prevention and control programs were linked to the facility assessments so that we were at least reviewing what those programs entailed and looked like on an annual basis, along with our facility assessment, if not more often. And then moving into a couple years after that in 2019 is when you all, the role of the infection preventionist, was introduced to participate on the QAA committee and then start working on QAPI activities. In April of 2020, when we had the COVID-19 pandemic, is where we really focused on infection control practices. There were numerous updates and changes, and that's when the phase 3 interpretive guidance was paused. Then in 2022 is when our infection prevention and QAPI guidance was released, and there's a link to the memo more about that there. And then in March of last year is when there was really that enhanced enforcement for infection control and quality improvement activities. And when we really started focusing on those infection control and COVID vaccinations that were leading to the directed plan of correction. So just a little bit about the evolution of when this all kind of began again in our healthcare setting. Next slide. I think if we go one more, did we skip a slide, Maria? I'm sorry. Yep, thank you. So we have one other quick polling question for you, just to kind of get a sense, because again, we have a lot of new folks in the room here. So I understand my role, of course, as an infection preventionist, my role and responsibilities on the QAA committee. So do you agree? Do you somewhat agree, disagree, or what is the QAA committee? And there's no right or wrong answer. Some of you might be brand new to your role. Some of you may have been in it for a little while. So still see some responses coming in. All right, if you want to go ahead and show the results, Heather. Okay, it looks like we have a little bit of everything. So some that agree, some that somewhat agree, some that disagree, and then some folks that are curious about what the QAA committee is. So great, thank you so much for that information. We'll go to the next slide and hopefully get some of those questions answered for some of you that may not fully agree yet. So your, actually, can you go back one slide? Sorry, Mariah, to the flowchart slide. One more. There we go. Thank you. So this is a high-level flow chart of QAPI, and I personally like flow charts because number one, I'm a visual person, and number two, I think flow charts really help keep a process and the steps that are within that process simple, so that you can know that these are the steps that we need to complete to consistently embed QAPI into our culture. And now there are obviously actions to be carried out within each of these steps or each of these circles that are shown here, but keeping it high level for the reliability of your process will help guide you and your teams along the way. So we start out with identifying data and looking at the focused improvement opportunities as needed. Based on those opportunities, we would develop a charter team or a performance improvement project team and start to investigate those problems. Through that, we would complete what we call the root cause analysis. We would prioritize different contributing factors that are leading to that problem and then select some interventions. From there, in the purple circle, we move into running a plan, do, study, act, or a PDSA cycle, or some other type of quality improvement methodology that allows you to test different interventions to be able to measure change for effectiveness. And then finally, once we've got some good processes in place, we're seeing the data improve, we're achieving the results we want to achieve, then we put in to place some sustainment plans that monitor the data and report that back out to the QAA committee. So there's a link resource at the bottom of this slide that just has some great additional information and steps and tools that will help you. So just know that that's there if you need it. Next slide. So this will be the, yes, thank you. So we noted that it all starts with data. And there's a lot of data out there and available, and just that in and of itself can feel a bit overwhelming. So this slide can be used as a reference to have processes in place for where you can get all the various data and elements. So what are your communication mechanisms and perhaps the cadence for working with dispensing pharmacy on things like antibiotic starts or days of therapy, or perhaps getting data that's broken down by diagnosis or provider, or how do you compare across the state or the region? What about your consultant pharmacists? Do you have processes in place for collecting data on appropriateness of orders, or orders that are meeting criteria and guidance like the McGear and Loeb criteria? What about documentation compliance, data on bug drug mismatches, adverse events? Next, looking over at the data from labs, thinking about your processes around getting data for diagnostic test utilization or accessing antibiograms and understanding how to read them. I know here in Colorado over last summer, we did a lot of work around accessing antibiograms and learning how to interpret the data that they provide. It was really fun, learned a lot. So if you need help there, definitely reach out. And then in the last column, gathering the data that you all specifically are collecting and tracking. So antibiotic use information from your infection logs, infection rates, orders meeting the standing criteria, perhaps nursing protocol compliance or MDRO prevalence. Let's go to the next slide, please. So now what? So now that you have you're thinking about or have some processes in place for collecting data from various departments or consultants, what do you do with that data? So we need to think about who we're reporting to and what that communication looks like across departments. So I think like something I heard a long time ago was thinking about your role as the infection preventionist as this orchestra conductor. And so I always think about this analogy of where you're connecting all these different departments, you're the communication mechanism for all these different units. So again, thinking about who to report to and what are the mechanisms or processes that you have in place or need to put in place for what that looks like. Are you just reporting information out, or does the conversation lead to actionable steps and tasks that can then be assigned to others on the team with your leadership guiding them? And then thinking about how you're reporting. So again, what are those mechanisms in place to conduct your reports, and are those effective? Maybe you display dashboards, or maybe you have written reports. Thinking about the frequency or the cadence for how often those are shared out. Are there inconsistencies here that can be improved upon? Just again, really thinking about the processes that we have in place or may need to put into place to streamline our data collection, our data analysis, and our action steps. Next slide. So as a required member of the Quality Assurance and Assessment Committee, or the QAA committee, this is a great place to embed some of those processes and communication mechanisms. And this QAA or QAPI meeting agenda is a tool that may help you to organize all of those thoughts. So as you're providing your report out on the various data elements that we've discussed, which include those that you see here on the slide in the bullets, things like your adverse drug events, surveillance and outbreaks, communicable disease illnesses like influenza, your antibiotic stewardship efforts, hand hygiene compliance rates, PPE compliance rates, quality of care concerns, and pressure areas as it relates to potential for infection. You're reporting out all of that data, and then your QAA committee is taking that information and the data that you reported to inform the next action steps for the team that you see in the blue box in the lower right-hand corner. So again, reviewing that data, identifying where they have some priority areas of concern, then deploying and designing a quality improvement activity, working on that with your QAPI steering committee, and then monitoring progress and outcomes once you've got some good processes in place. So think about that flow chart that we went through just a couple slides ago as you work through these steps in QAPI for that consistency and sustainability. There is a link to this agenda on this slide. It's fillable right on your computer, it's editable, and you can save each one for tracking and documentation purposes. So please add this to your toolkit if you feel that it would be helpful. Next slide. So next, talking about the importance of reporting. So tracked data isn't helpful if no one knows about it. And usually we only see a select few that do know about it. Perhaps it's just those that were a part of those QAPI meetings. So again, talking a lot about processes today, and this is a process that we highly encourage you to sit down and review, but what are the processes that you have in place or again, need to put into place around reporting? So thinking about that who, what, and how the data is reported. And here are some reasons why that's so important. So number one, data can increase buy-in. We can't improve what we don't know, and often it's so hard to get on board if you don't fully understand the reasons why you're being asked to do something. Tracking and monitoring intrinsically establishes a standard for accountability, which is very important. Resistance rates may deter or guide use. The rate of inappropriate urinalysis or cultures may improve use of assessment tools, so things like the antibiotic timeout tool, things like that. Data helps to justify why your role is so vital in your facility and the potential impacts of not addressing areas of concern. And then the last bullet here is transparency. So open communication and education for staff and residents and families. So the benefits of this are pretty obvious, yet sometimes we often fail to have some solid processes in place for how this communication will occur and when. So in a nutshell, data helps us make informed decisions around quality of care and understand the importance of why we do the things the way that we do. And we can't achieve that if no one knows what data we're collecting and what that data is telling us. Next slide. So it is not all about the infection preventionists. You have so much work on your plate, and we recognize that and we know that, and it takes a team. Everything that the infection preventionist does takes others to support, whether it's collecting data, gathering feedback, doing the training, doing those monitoring and auditing and performance checks, placing new processes in place, testing interventions, keeping up on all the updates. There's a lot to do, and it really does need to involve the entire team across all the units and departments. And so if we go to the next slide, our final slide, before we go into just some open discussion and peer sharing for this call is, I just want to let you know that we're all here to help you navigate through those conversations, to help you design those process improvement opportunities, to support intervention implementation. We don't want you to feel like you're alone. A lot of the, like I mentioned when we first started, we've been doing a lot of support for infection preventionists and finding that a lot of them are new to their role. You don't know what you don't know kind of a thing. So we just don't want you to feel isolated. Every one of you has an assigned Telegen team member, so please reach out to us. We're committed to helping you with this work and the vital role that you all play in your community. And so with that, we have about 12 minutes left. And so for each of these calls, we try to talk for around 20 minutes or so and then open it up for just some peer-to-peer discussion and sharing. So I'd love to just see perhaps if we have any questions first, and then if not, would love to just hear from you all, like what's really working well in your role as an IP? What do you need as an IP to feel better supported, or perhaps to feel more confident or more empowered in your role? Like, what's keeping you up at night? Just some general discussion around how things are going for you all. So first, we'll just stop and I'll ask Mariah if there's any questions that came in.
Hey, Courtney, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat right now.
Okay, thanks. If you have any, please feel free to just raise your hand or come off mute and interrupt, or type them into chat. But let's just hear from you all, just how things are going. What's really working well? What do you need? What would be helpful in your role? Any brave folks to share?
Hi, Courtney. We do have something in the chat from Deb. She mentioned determining the right amount of time dedicated to the IP.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes. Yeah, it's because there is so much to do, right? And so many things to take care of. How do others handle that? We have a lot of folks on the call today. How do you all determine how much time you allocate for the IP role if you're not already like an FTE? I know some of you wear multiple hats, so you're the IP along with other things. So how do you guys go about sort of allocating time?
We have a response from Melissa. She mentioned it is a struggle when we wear many hats in addition to QAPI and IP.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we really work hard to try to help show you how to integrate both of those so it doesn't feel like it's two separate hats or two separate tasks that you have to wear, although I know that it very much feels that way oftentimes. But like thinking about how we can embed just quality improvement into our culture and into everything we're doing, and thinking about that flow chart that we were doing before, where we can really sit down, and again, we can help you, like our Telogen nursing home team can sit down and have these conversations with you of how do we streamline some of these processes, and put them into place? How do we delegate some responsibilities to other folks on the team? And how do we kind of make this more easier to navigate through all of this, so that it doesn't feel like so much on our plate? And I know that that's easier said than done. But yeah, I was just reading the next thing into chat. Learn how to delegate what is able to be. Yeah, so we have some great tools. One of them is called a RACI chart, but there's lots of different tools that we can sit down with you and again, kind of get it, like each of you has a unique community or facility. And so we could sit down and talk about what that looks like, what capacity you have, what types of resources you have available. And then that way we can better, kind of help you talk through what you can pass off, what you can delegate, what you can put into a standing process of, every Tuesday morning we do this, or we have a conversation with pharmacy, or what those different things look like. So sometimes it's just helpful to have another set of eyes come in and look at what that might look like, and we can just test it. We can try it and see what works and what doesn't, and be able to tweak it from there. And team, I know I have a couple nursing home team members on, so please feel free to jump in and chime in. I see Carla's comment on depends on your state. Illinois gives the exact amount of time. I do multiple jobs as well, but Illinois requires 40 hours of IP for our facility. Thanks, Carla. So I'm curious, for those of you that are like struggling a little bit with delegating responsibilities or tasks to others, is it like that they don't necessarily, that there's not necessarily anybody that has the capacity to take on additional things, or are there other types of challenges, or you're not sure what to pass off versus what to kind of keep on your plate? Oh, and I see Iowa is also full-time, over 100 beds at the building where Amy is, I believe. Thanks, Amy. Anyone have some good tips for how you delegate and kind of divvy up all the various responsibilities within infection?
Hi, Courtney. It's Kristen from Telegen. I wanted to just throw in for your question that I think one of the easiest things to perhaps delegate is all the various audits that you can do.
That's a great idea. Yes. Yeah, I know, in some of the tours that we've done recently, we've seen some homes that have really good practices in place for communicating with the other department leads. And so like dietary is on the same page as like environmental services and housekeeping, and some of those folks with just really being mindful of different infection prevention practices that are top of mind for that building. So having some, again, those communication mechanisms in place for how they do that is, I think there's lots of opportunity there. But yeah, I agree, Kristen, like monitoring for hand hygiene, or for different processes around cleaning and disinfecting, or all those different kinds of things. I think that's a great idea to be able to divvy that up to other folks and even rotate it,
Hey, Courtney, this is Jaime. How are you guys? Great presentation. Thank you so much. I'm the infection preventionist for Telegen. And things that have worked really well for me is knowing my priorities. Every morning when you step into your infection prevention role, have in mind that none of all of those lists of items to do that day is a priority. So having in mind what makes a priority in the IP world is really, really important, because this is going to help you delegate responsibilities. I know infection preventionist wants to do it all sometimes, but it is okay to ask for help. So that has worked really, really well for me, asking for help and establishing real priorities that affects my practice as an infection preventionist.
Yeah, that's an excellent tip, Jaime. Thank you. Just in general, that's a great tip, because we all have so much to do. And so sometimes you really do just have to sit down and prioritize what you need to accomplish that day. What can you hand off, and what do you need to take on yourself?
Yes, and sometimes you get the phone call and says, this is an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
An emergency. No, emergencies, they go to the ER, okay, guys? So just take a deep breath, think. You don't need to give an answer immediately. Just think, collect all your data, collect all your thoughts, and then provide a recommendation. So that has worked really, really well for me.
Thank you. Mariah, if you can just go to maybe our event slide. I just wanted to share, especially for those folks that may be new in the role, and maybe you're not quite sure of the QAA committee, or just what is QAPI, and need more time to really dive into what that is. This is just a short 30-minute kind of teaser call. But we do have ongoing trainings always around QAPI, around root cause analysis, around Plan, Do, Study, Act. So really encourage you to take those to build in your quality improvement skill sets and pass along to your team, so that, again, you can delegate some of these projects to them, or pieces of the project, and it helps build their QI skill sets as well. Just really helps set the whole team up for success. We're also available, like I mentioned, you all have an assigned Telligent point of contact. And so we're here to help you walk hand in hand along the way, if that's more helpful to you too. So lots of opportunities to get support. And then you can see, I already spoke to the Plan, Do, Study Act and the QAPI 101, but on February 21st, we have a Unite Against Sepsis. So collaborating to reduce sepsis mortality and improve care coordination event, if that's of interest to you as well. We also have lots of great resources and tools specific for infection prevention and control. We have a microsite, so please visit our website if you're not already familiar with that. Last week, we just talked about a new IP orientation checklist that we just developed and put onto our website. So check that out. There's lots of great stuff. Or just feel free to reach out to us. If you don't have time to go through everything, reach out and we can find it for you. So I just want to thank you all so much on behalf of the team for joining us today. Appreciate your time and certainly respect and value all the amazing work that you do. So thanks for joining. Please feel free to reach out if you need anything, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Happy February.